It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting this morning. We start off with the Nation newspaper with the leading headline, Why Fubara Delayed Return. We go to the Blueprint newspaper, also has the same theme. Despite Fubara's failure to resume, House reconvenes to probe emergency rule. And the riders read, jubilant governors, supporters disappointed, elders sue for peace, have accomplished my task. That's according to the former sole administrator, Ibokete Ibaz. Daily Independent says the same thing. Concerns over whereabouts of Fubara after end of emergency rule. Leadership Friday toes the same line. Rivers, Fubara not seen in public. Assembly resolves to probe Ibaz. Nigerian News Direct, confusion as supporters dispersed after Fubara's absence at Rivers Government's house as Assembly launches probe into state finances during suspension. The Punch newspaper toes the same line as well. Emergency rule, uncertainty in Rivers as Fubara delays return. This Nigeria says, Rivers, Fubara and I fully on the same path, says FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. The Hope newspaper gives some hope regarding security in Nigeria, with the Tinubu administration saying NIN-SIM linkage reduces fraud, boosts Nigeria's national security. And here's the catch. Says over 126 million Nigerians enrolled in NIN becomes key to digital governance. PKI integration strengthens data security, fraud prevention. The Daily Times talks about security as well. Flood preparedness, state account balances top neck agenda. The Platform Times, selfish leadership threatens Nigeria's future. That's according to the former INEC boss. Talking about Jega, who laments collapse of accountability. Now moving on to the Guardian newspaper. Brain drain, exhausted doctors, long wait times, test public hospitals' care capacity. We'll talk about that. And last but not least for review this morning will be the Sporting Live. Lookman trains again, available for Atalanta's trip to Torino. Yes, I'll be doing this with my colleagues on the table, talk about Etoma, Olamide, and of course, Bjorn Shomi, who will be providing a very deep insight into some of the high points of this newspaper. Let's start off with the Nation newspaper, talking about what the Nation is also talking about, which is Fubara's reason for not returning to the office. A whole lot of people were expecting His Excellency to resume office, but then no one was able to. I mean, the legislators resumed, but he failed to show up.
It actually came as a surprise to me, because you would have expected that he would want to go there with all pomp and pageantry, and then receive his supporters. There was a mammoth crowd, and my heart,
especially with the masquerade.
Yes, with the masquerades and the rest, and my heart went to that women group. You see mothers, maybe it's Christian mothers, that came with drums and everything. They got set for a party, and they couldn't get their party started, unfortunately for them. Information reaching some of us says that Fubara was in Abuja, and the question is, was he consulting with the FCT minister, and that's why he didn't show up? Another question is that how it's going to be from now on?
Probably waiting from Abuja. Olamide, I don't know. Everyone was waiting with bated breath yesterday. Some were saying that it could mean that he's making consultation, and others are saying he's probably making a statement that I'm not hungry for power.
Absolutely. I constantly talk about the importance of optics in politics. I will say that there's a reason why Jesus engaged in the triumphant entry. There's a reason why he came on a camel, on a donkey rather. And so I think that a lot of people, we can speculate all we want, but what I do know is that my question now is the constraints. Will there be constraints on him for post-emergency rule? What kind of scars did the emergency rule leave behind? My focus is even the legal precedent that will be set. What can we learn from this? The political bigwigs can fight all they want. The emergency rule instated, whatever it is, it's the younger generation that are going to suffer from this. So I want us to take lessons and learn from this. Lots of interesting things happening. And we'll see how it goes. Right,
the other show with me, a whole lot of analyses, I continue to, greet this failure to appear, the emergency rule. We won't say there was an interregnum because, of course, there was a sole administrator running things. Could it be that he was dotting the I's and crossing the T's to saying, yes, I need to get people to resume office first before I now come as the alpha and omega of the so to speak.
Fubara is an executive governor of the state, and there's no doubt about that. He wields enormous power donated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Wherever he is, he doesn't need to be sworn in again. So he has actually resumed duty as the governor. He's not the only governor that will stay in Abuja briefly or for a day or some other days. Some governors actually spend almost a third of their time in Abuja for different reasons, maybe security issues in their state and some other reasons. So it's being in Abuja is not something fantastic or different from what others are doing. My reading is that Fubara would not want to get carried away. You know when you have your supporters, you have people who sycophants and all of them mixing up together and very excited, and in the process you can easily get carried away. And for a man who claims to be very humble, and we've seen evidence of humility in him, I think it is right for him to take a step back so that you don't get carried away. And then think about what you intend to do. Don't forget he has serious issues to consider. One is not only the appointment of the commissioner, he has the budget of the state. To think about. Those are two major issues that led to crisis. And as we all know, you need to carry other stakeholders along. In any state, a governor alone does not just appoint the commissioners. There are factors to think about, geographical representation, ethnic representation, so many other issues.
But doesn't that leave a vacuum? We had the legislators, the judiciary resumed, day before, but the governor is not there. And that's a challenge, don't you think?
There is no vacuum. The deputy governor is there. Nobody's talking about her. In the absence of the governor, the deputy governor, steps in.
Well, you know how
and
it
in
is
any
when
case,
it comes to deputy governors in River State.
Yeah, he would also have to consult with her boss, which is Fubara in this case.
That's right.
But when you look at the situation, he's in the state. He's in Nigeria, not outside the Nigerian states. If he's outside the Nigerian state, that's a different problem. He's actually in Nigeria. And so I don't know what he is doing or what he plans to do or when I would be surprised if he fails to turn up in Rivers today or tomorrow. So, but the fact of the matter is he has a lot of work to do. Don't forget they have done the reconciliation.
That's right.
So a lot of consultation needs to be done, not only, with there are other stakeholders, including elders and former governors.
We've got more time to talk about River State, in the next segment. So let's move on to the Hope newspaper. The President, Tinubu, needs SIM linkage reduces fraud, boosts Nigeria's national security. And then he's also saying that over 126 million Nigerians enrolled as NIN becomes key to digital governance. So Nigerians are being captured when it comes to proper data identification.
Yeah, it's just like talking about the social security number in the United States. That's what NIN is. So you have the number, you have your biometrics to just pop up, and people are not ghosts anymore in Nigeria. With the NIN, you can do a whole lot of things. You can know the people that are in the tax net. You can know the people that have what's it called, telephones. You can know a whole lot of things. And for me, the most important is that you now have a database of Nigerians, for so many different reasons.
Is it of Nigerians or some Nigerians? Because there are so many people who are not captured yet. Do you think
Absolutely, especially those in rural areas. So the issue with this will be making enrollment easy, affordable, and accessible. Another thing is that we're giving a lot of our data and our identities. So I hope and I trust that the government will safeguard our data and actually use it to inform policy and close all the loopholes that scamming and insecurity makes.
Absolutely. So the social safety net is one of the reasons why we need data, in the country. But we still have insecurity, ravaging across most parts of the country, especially in the north. And people ask this question: if we are properly captured, why is it that we have these terrorists making calls using phone lines and we are not able to nab them or trace them to where they are?
Yeah, of course, it's a bit complex. If you look at the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of people within West Africa, for 3 months, so you can easily move from one country to the other. That's a challenge on its own. The protocol on free movement of people and goods is good. It's also good for us, as a country in terms of business. But the downside of it is the fact that people are able to slip into the country and slip out without being detected or cause havoc within the country. So we're already seeing the result of that. Name will be one of the solutions to this problem, because you don't necessarily need to be regulated. Even through fingerprints and some other stuff, they can identify who the person is perpetrating the crime. The challenge we have is that those who are perpetrating crimes today are living in the bush, and we have not captured them, on the news. Just like you said, people living in the rural areas. So government has to look for a way of ensuring that everybody is fully captured with a view to address.
And if this is enrolled properly, it truly could be game-changing in terms of handling insecurity.
Yeah, and even electionary, processes.
Even for planning, national planning purposes.
Right, let's move on to the Daily Times. Security, flood preparedness, state account balances top the National Executive Council meeting agenda. You think these are some of the problems we've been faced with in the country?
These are the problems. These are things that me and a lot of Nigerians have been praying that the federal government takes deliberate actions and really study them and see how they can solve these issues. It is fantastic for me that NEC is seeing these things as very high in their lists, and they are focusing on it. Let us see how their focus on these topics become reality and game-changing realities in Nigeria.
That's right. Let's go to the Platform Times, saying that selfish leadership threatens Nigeria's future. This is the former INEC boss, Jega, who is making this statement, saying that he's lamenting collapse of accountability and urging visionary, people-focused governance. You think there is disconnect between the kind of leaders we elect into power, into office, and what they produce at the end of the day?
Absolutely. I think I thoroughly respect Professor Atari Ujega. He was a friend of my father, very upstanding man, a very, very sound and very, very, he has a lot of integrity.
Your father made a whole lot of friends.
He did make it. He was a professor as well. As well, yes. And I think that it's good to see, this is not new. I think our problem lies with our conceptualization of leadership. Yeah. Leadership intrinsically is for the people. Right. It should be a very selfless and altruistic pursuit. And so it's a shame that we're even discussing accountability in leadership. The very essence of leadership is accountability. Right. It is being transparent and accountable to the people that you're serving.
Well, they say that the quality of leaders that we have, they're a reflection of the people that we have as a nation. So when people blame leaders, they say, what about the followers? So,
yeah, actually, it takes two to tango. You can only allow yourself to be misgoverned if you fail to exercise the right to choose who you want, to rule the country, or you choose to abstain from the process and or making the wrong decision. So at the end of the day, the voters have a role. Nobody can impose himself on the country. If you find somebody being elected as the governor or the president of Nigeria, it's simply because majority of the voters prefer that person. So therefore, it's important for all of us to engage in that process. Otherwise, we'll end up with a bad leadership, and in that situation you can only blame yourself. You can't end up blaming the other person. The other factor is to look at the quality of representation. People being presented to be elected, but that's the job of the political parties, to ensure that they present quality candidates for consideration.
And it's a problem when people sell their voting rights over a cup of coffee, not even coffee, maybe for beans, rice, and every other thing that they collect during election, and then they now come back after 2 months or 3 months saying that the government is not doing so well for them. But let me stay with you, Biotishomi. The Guardian newspaper has its own big story talking about brain drain, complaining about exhausted doctors, long wait times, testing public hospitals' care capacity. What say you?
Yeah, we have a major problem in the health sector. Initially, it used to be in the academic sector. I remember when people like Biodun J4, the foremost African critic, left and went to Harvard. I think he's emeritus now. And, you know, we've been having that brain drain problem for some time. But the rate has accelerated. That's the problem. And when you talk about brain drain, you're actually looking at, you know, the highly skilled manpower. In the health sector, we have this major problem. If you go to UK today, you don't be surprised that probably 1 in 5 doctors is a Nigerian.
That's right.
And when you talk about nurses, you're looking at 2 in 5, you know, providing healthcare services. A lot has to do, you know, with remuneration, which in any case has accelerated the rate of living. But the fact of the matter is we failed over the years to develop the economy. We are beginning to look at the economy again, repositioning the economy in a way that we will be able to, you know, attract the necessary skill. And give or take, give it to this administration, the rate of industrial strikes have actually slowed down. We've ended the era when you have academic sessions, you know, being suspended for a year, 9 months, 6 months, is no longer happening. So give it to those who are managing the industrial relations of Nigeria today. Things are getting better.
Olamide, I don't know whether you've heard a lot of people asking you, what are you still doing in Nigeria? You also have Japan.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is a very frequent question that I get, but it's also a very pertinent question.
So are you related to Japan?
I'm Japan, no. I know, but I will say that, you know, aside from even the medical brain drain, losing out on vital talent and vital intelligence, even the doctors that are here, they are exhausted, their welfare isn't looked after. We saw a couple of weeks ago the nurses strike. The people that are even on ground, we have to take better care of them. We have to put welfare in place so that they can really serve.
That's right. Toma, quickly.
All right. Everybody knows that the health sector is suffering this heavy brain drain. The ones that are here are forced to do the job of 4 or 5 people. They are forced to spend the long hours and all that. And that on its own is very dangerous because we're talking about people's lives. These people treat people with terminal diseases and so on. One mistake is enough for you to lose a patient.
Absolutely.
And then the doctor is tired from 6 a.m. because he worked till about 2 a.m. and he has to resume around 6. You know, these doctors are tired. So what's my advice? Take better care of these people.
That's right.
That way, they will have an alternative. Look, instead of me to go to London, I can earn like 80% of what my colleagues in London are earning. So I'll stay here in Nigeria. Let's just take better care of health workers in Nigeria.
Very quickly, I just want to say, if you ask me, you know, the West taking all our doctors and our intelligence, it's a form of neocolonization.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, it's a neo-colonialist arrangement where they are able to pay and attract people from poorer countries. But eventually, more countries are developing. China used to face that problem. India used to face it.
Even Cuba.
Over a period of time, we would overcome this problem.
That's right.
Hopefully.
Right, let's move on to the very last paper, but not least, talk about sport and life. Better show me looking at Lukman. You know, Lukman trains again, available for Atalanta's trip to Torino. You see, we're having our boys, you know, doing so well you know, outside of the country. Talk about Osimhen, talk about Lukman, talk about Nwabali, talk about, you know, mention all of these people. But when it comes to local league, how do they even perform?
When he's done.
Especially against the backdrop of, I don't know what to say, lackluster performance.
To be honest, a lot of efforts have been put in to develop our local league system. You remember there was a time when the referee will blow a penalty right from the middle of the pitch and said it's penalty because in fact infringement has been committed. So we've left all that behind us. It's now history. We also have the role of our regulator, because at the end of the day you need to look at how things are done in other countries. How did they promote Premier League? There's a certain percentage of foreign content that can be broadcasted in UK.
That's right.
In our own situation, we have left it uncontrolled. This is part of the problem. It's also part of the problem where you have issues with cultural, you know, erosion of our own culture here, because we are not regulating it. There are certain times you cannot even show foreign films in UK.
Absolutely.
Until evening, because you need to make sure that the youths, you know, are not being taken for granted and being fed foreign ideas. So we have not done enough in our own case. So we need to look at what we are doing how we are regulating sport, and then fund it appropriately.
Absolutely. So much to talk about, and to chew on the newspapers. Well, we believe that we've done our best to, update you as regards what has been reported on the front pages of the dailies.